the man activated his superpower and lifted a 30,000-ton nuclear submarine out of the ocean. He was Magneto, the most powerful mutant in history. When Magneto was very young, his mother was killed by a German officer, setting him on a path of vengeance. After World War II, Magneto learned that the same German officer had assembled a team of mutants. His goal was to provoke a nuclear war between two superpowers, using the radiation to create more mutants and eventually dominate the world. Realizing that only mutants could defeat other mutants, Magneto decided to form his own team. He recruited Banshee, who could control flight through sonic waves, a mutant capable of emitting powerful shockwaves, and Mystique, who could alter her form at will. Tensions between the two superpowers had reached a critical point. They had deployed massive fleets in the Pacific, including nuclear weapons. If either side crossed the demarcation line, World War III would begin. Fortunately, the Kremlin uncovered the villain's plot in time and ordered the Soviet fleet to return to port. But one warship ignored the command and charged toward the line. At the critical moment, Magneto and his X-Men arrived. Professor X immediately used his telepathy to scan the rogue ship, only to discover that everyone on board had already been killed. Acting quickly, Professor X mentally took control of a Soviet officer and launched a missile to destroy the ship at the last second. But the villain had a backup plan. He put on a helmet that blocked mental attacks and began absorbing nuclear energy from a submarine, intending to turn himself into a living weapon to trigger the war. Sensing the enemy was hiding underwater, Magneto sent Banshee to locate him using ultrasonic waves. Then Magneto activated his power. A massive submarine was lifted out of the sea and hurled onto the beach. A battle between the two mutant teams ensued, but the villain had already absorbed more than half of the nuclear energy. Magneto was outmatched. He pretended to surrender, and when the villain let his guard down, Magneto used wires to snatch the helmet away. Professor X seized the chance to take mental control of the villain's body. But then Magneto put on the helmet himself. He took out a coin, the very same coin the villain had used to kill his mother 20 years earlier. At last, Magneto had his chance for revenge. Just when it seemed everything was over, the two superpowers suddenly reached an agreement. They decided that mutants were too powerful and joined forces to launch missiles at all of them. But they had underestimated Magneto's power. With a wave of his hand, he halted all the missiles in midair, then sent them turning back toward the warships. At the critical moment, Professor X pushed Magneto down. He didn't want mutants and humans to become eternal enemies. But Magneto was determined to ignite the war. Then, a soldier fired at Magneto, who deflected the bullet with a gesture, but the bullet struck Professor X instead. Although Magneto removed the bullet immediately, the damage to Professor X's spine was done. He would spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. The two former friends went their separate ways from that day on.